In the early 1900s, much of Antarctica remained unexplored, and one man wanted to achieve what nobody else had ever done. His name was Sir Ernest Shackleton, a British explorer known for taking on some of the world's most dangerous expeditions. In 1914, Shackleton announced an ambitious mission. He planned to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot. It would be one of the most difficult journeys ever attempted. To make it happen, he assembled a crew of 28 men, sailors, scientists, engineers, and experienced explorers. Together, they boarded a wooden ship named Endurance. For the crew, this was more than an expedition. It was an opportunity to become part of history. In August 1914, the Endurance left England and began its long journey south. At first, everything seemed to be going according to plan, but far ahead, the frozen wilderness of Antarctica was waiting. As the Endurance pushed deeper into Antarctica, the environment became increasingly hostile. Massive fields of sea ice stretched across the horizon. Navigating through them was slow and dangerous. But Shackleton had expected difficult conditions. What he didn't expect was becoming trapped. In January 1915, as the ice surrounding the ship suddenly tightened, the Endurance could no longer move forward or backward. It was completely stuck. At first, the crew remained optimistic. Many believed the ship would be released once the weather changed. A few days became weeks. Weeks became months. Yet the ice never let go. Instead, it continued to grow thicker. The men watched as Antarctica slowly took control of their expedition. Every day, the pressure around the ship increased. And with each passing week, their chances of escape became smaller. By the middle of 1915, it became clear that the ice wasn't going to release the ship. In fact, the situation was getting worse. The frozen sea surrounding the Endurance was constantly moving, and as the ice shifted, it began squeezing the wooden ship from every direction. At first, the damage seemed minor. Small cracks appeared. Strange noises echoed through the vessel. The crew could hear the ship groaning beneath the pressure. Then the sounds became louder. Wood snapped. Beams bent. The walls of the ship began to twist. The Endurance was being crushed. Day after day, the Antarctic ice applied thousands of tons of pressure against the vessel. There was nothing the crew could do. No engine could stop it. No tool could fix it. And no rescue ship could reach them. Then, in October 1915, the Endurance finally gave in. The ship that had carried them across the world was destroyed, slowly sinking into the frozen wilderness. 28 men stood helplessly on the ice, watching their only way home disappear forever. With the Endurance gone, the expedition faced a terrifying reality. They were stranded on drifting sea ice in Antarctica, thousands of miles from civilization, with no way to call for help, and no ship to carry them home. Shackleton knew that staying aboard the wreckage was no longer possible. The crew salvaged whatever supplies they could before the ship disappeared beneath the ice. Food, tools, boats, anything that might help them survive. Then they set up camp directly on the frozen sea. For weeks, the men lived on drifting ice floes. Temperatures dropped far below freezing. Powerful winds battered their camp day and night. And every morning, they woke up not knowing if the ice beneath them would still be there. The situation became even worse when the ice itself began to break apart. Eventually, the ice beneath the camp began breaking apart faster than ever before. Shackleton realized they could no longer stay where they were. If they remained on the ice, they would eventually die. There was only one option left: the lifeboats. The crew loaded their remaining supplies and prepared to leave the drifting ice behind. What followed was a brutal fight against the Antarctic Ocean. The men faced freezing temperatures, powerful winds, and enormous waves that threatened to destroy their small boats at any moment. Every day was a battle. Although the crew had reached land, they were still stranded. The island was isolated. No ships passed nearby, and there was no way to contact the outside world. If they stayed where they were, they would eventually run out of food. Once again, he faced an impossible choice. To save his men, he would have to leave them behind. Shackleton selected 5 crew members and prepared for a desperate mission. Their goal was almost unbelievable: sail more than 800 miles across one of the most dangerous oceans on Earth in a small lifeboat. The journey was brutal. Massive waves crashed against the boat. Freezing winds threatened to throw them into the sea. At times, it seemed impossible that anyone could survive, but day after day, they pushed forward. Finally, after more than 2 weeks at sea, they spotted South Georgia Island. It was a moment few believed they would ever live to see. But reaching the island was only half the battle. The rescue mission had just begun. After reaching South Georgia Island, Shackleton immediately began organizing a rescue mission. But Antarctica wasn't ready to let the crew go. His first rescue attempt failed. Then another failed. And another. Ice blocked every route back to the stranded men. Weeks turned into months. Yet Shackleton refused to abandon them. Again and again, he searched for a way through the ice. Finally, on August 30th, 1916, a rescue ship reached Elephant Island. The men who had been left behind couldn't believe what they were seeing. Against all odds, Shackleton had returned, one by one. The survivors boarded the rescue ship. The nightmare was finally over. What happened next shocked the world. Not a single man had been lost. All 28 members of the Endurance expedition survived. More than 500 days after becoming trapped in Antarctica, every member of the crew made it home alive. Even today, the Endurance expedition is considered one of the greatest survival stories ever recorded. A ship destroyed by ice, hundreds of days trapped at the end of the world, and a leader who refused to leave anyone behind. Sir Ernest Shackleton didn't just save his crew. He created a story that would inspire the world